Hello, spooky crew. Our tote bag drawing is officially closed, and we just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who entered. We are so grateful for the love and the support, and we have loved reading your reviews. Missed the tote? No worries. We're still sending out high-quality vinyl stickers while supplies last. Just email us proof of your rating and review along with your mailing address to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, and we'll get one headed your way. Quick promise, your address is only for mailing the sticker. No emails, no selling info, no funny business, just spooky gratitude. Thanks again for supporting the show. You are the reason we do this. You're listening to the Spooky Darlings, and before we get started, a little note. This episode was recorded back when our setup wasn't quite as polished as it is today, so the audio might sound a bit different than what you're used to with our newer episodes, but the story is still as spooky and chilling as ever. Also, a quick content warning. This episode includes discussions of murder, violence, and mental health issues involving young adults. Listener discretion is advised. My sources for today's episode are a YouTube video by Dr. Insanity and the EastIdahoNews.com. Welcome to the Spooky Darlings. I'm Nettie.
I'm Haley.
I'm Emily.
And I'm going to tell you about the murder of Aaron Davis. All right?
Okay.
Now, July of 2022, so not that long ago, roughly 3 years ago, Aaron Davis, his life was completely on track. He had just graduated from BYU, Idaho. I think he got his degree in poli-sci or something. And he had just finished an internship at a law firm in Georgia, or North Carolina, actually. And he had moved back home with his family to Cummings, Georgia, to get ready for grad school because he decided he wanted to be a teacher eventually and then hopefully become a poli-sci professor. So he was totally on track. He had his girlfriend. Her name's Charlie Girl.
Cute.
Isn't that the
Her
cutest
real name is Charlie Girl?
Yes, her name is Charlie Girl. I thought it was adorable. I think
Cute.
Charlie, I really thought when I read it, I went, oh, it's the cutest name. I, for years, have been trying to get anyone who's pregnant with a boy to name their sons Janetta Boy.
That's
When I
true.
read Charlie Girl, I was
Yeah.
like, see, it's been done.
It's the most fun.
Okay, so anyways, he was just, on track, ready to launch, ready to just jump into adulthood. On a November morning in 2022, right? So a few months after he had graduated, he decided to drive to see his girlfriend in Gadsden, Alabama. And I couldn't find exact details, but I think that Aaron and his girlfriend grew up together in the LDS church, over in the South in Georgia. It's not a huge population. And so it's you would, within your area, socialize with people. And it said that they fell in love at a church campout. And it never said they met at BYU, Idaho, the college in Rexburg, that they met at a church campout. And she said that they had their first kiss that night under shooting stars.
Cute.
And they were planning on getting married. That was their plan. So Aaron decided that on the way to Gadsden, Alabama, he was going to stop and see his longtime best friend, Brandon Risner. And Brandon and Aaron had known each other since the 5th grade, but they had really started being buddies in the 8th grade. They make movies together. They make music together, just do a lot of these creative things. And
So is Brandon Mormon as well?
Brandon is also Mormon. Yes.
Okay. So listening to a podcast that is about small towns, it seems absolutely if you are of the same religion, especially in the South, you are going to for sure socialize with each other.
I think so too. And I think especially when it's the LDS religion, not in the Mormon belt. It's just such a small population that you end up being friends. And they were both from Cummings, Georgia, but Brandon eventually moved to a different town called Rome, Georgia. So Rome is about 60 miles away from Cummings.
Okay.
And then the place they were going to, where Charlie Girl lived, was another 60 miles. So it was about a halfway stop. So
Okay.
this was on a Thursday. He left on his trip. And then Charlie Girl.
And I'm so sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. They're all Mormon.
Yes.
Okay.
Aaron's going to visit his girlfriend in Georgia. Aaron decides to stop on the way and spend the night with his longtime best friend from childhood on, Brandon. The girlfriend becomes alarmed when Aaron does not show up, not responding to text messages, going straight to voicemail. She notifies Aaron's parents. Aaron's parents said the same thing. They're like, yeah, he's not responding to our calls either. We're not really sure what's going on. So then the girlfriend gets a text message from Brandon. And the text message said, hey, don't worry. Aaron's fine. He's going to stay another night with me. Change of plans. His phone died. He'll head there tomorrow. Something along those lines was the text message. So she was like, okay, this is a little weird, but we know he's in good company. He's with his like childhood best friend. We know that he's safe. So she thought it was a little strange, but wasn't super worried. I already kind of told you about Brandon and Aaron's friendship, but like childhood best friends, they had actually been at BYU together. Both of them had served missions for the Mormon church, for the LDS church. Aaron had served in Las Vegas West mission, and Brandon had served in Brazil. And it was unclear to me whether he served his entire mission, because I know that he did have some mental health problems while he was in Brazil that he sought treatment for, but I couldn't find if he then like left early to receive that treatment or if he stayed the entire mission.
Right.
And so they both, home for missions, go to BYU, Idaho, in I think the fall of 2021. Brandon only lasts one semester. He's having suicidal thoughts. He's having mental breakdowns. His parents encourage him to come home and just focus on his mental health. Aaron stays and then, finishes that year out and graduates. So a phone call goes into the police that a car in Rome, Georgia, which is where Brandon lived and where Aaron was, supposed to have visited, a car was found in a ditch. But this is how the car was basically, it's a Prius. It's just nose down in a ditch. The car is not running, but the lights are on, which tells the police that the car had only been there for a short period of time, like not long enough to drain the battery.
Okay.
Pretty recent. They get in there and they find the ID of Aaron Davis, the BYU Idaho ID of Aaron Davis. Do a little detective work. They call Aaron's dad, Randy. Now, meanwhile, Charlie girl had already talked to the parents and said she was concerned because she hadn't been able to get a hold of Aaron. So Aaron's parents, Randy and Sarah, were already worried. They had already been like trying to call and do all the things, I'm sure, check location. And they had been in contact with Brandon. And so they told the police, well, we know he was staying with his friend Brandon Risner, who lives there. So the police call Brandon. And here is the conversation they had. This is Lieutenant Sailor. Do you want to read one line? Do you want to be Brandon or Lieutenant Sailor?
I'll be either one. I'll be Brandon.
Okay, I'll be Lieutenant Sailor. Hey, I'm Lieutenant Sailors with Rome Police. You doing all right today?
Yes, I am. I'm looking for my friend right now.
Yeah, that's what I was calling about. I don't know. You haven't heard from him?
I have not. I've tried calling him and it's just gone straight to voicemail. And I heard he was at Heritage Park, so that's where I'm at right now. So I'm looking around. Do you guys know where the car was?
Yeah, it was in a ditch over there. When's the last time you saw Aaron?
I saw him last night.
About what time?
Well, we started drinking around like 12 noon. He started throwing up pretty bad. He told me to leave him alone. I guess I woke up around like 2 a.m. And that's when I saw that his car was gone.
All right. Well, if y'all hear from him, let us know, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
All right, bye-bye. So that was the conversation. And this is what I thought was interesting, is nowhere in the conversation did the police say that they found the car. But Brandon asked about the car. And there could be an explanation for that. Like perhaps Brandon had heard from his parents that he found the car because, well, you'll hear later, Brandon had been in contact with his parents who had been in contact with Aaron's parents. So, but it did kind of, to me, like ring a little bit of a, I wonder how
red flag. Yeah.
how he knew that they found the car. So, police decide to go about an hour or so later. They go to Brandon's house to question him. And I watched the video of this and like, his demeanor is very, I don't know. It doesn't really ring a lot of alarm bells, but he's very calm. And he greets the police. He's very friendly. He seems very helpful, but he closes the door to his house behind him and does most of the conversation out on the porch. So they're questioning him again, like asking for his story. He repeats the same thing. They were drinking around noon at an outdoor bar. And then they ended up going home where Brandon said he switched to wine. But Aaron, he said Aaron wasn't feeling well, didn't drink as much as Brandon did. And, you have to think like these are probably LDS boys, maybe don't have as much experience with alcohol. And that Aaron went upstairs and just was vomiting everywhere. He just said he was standing up and vomiting everywhere. And Brandon said, like, hey, buddy, can I help you? And Aaron was like, no, I don't need your help. Just leave me alone. So Brandon went downstairs, and this is what he tells the cops. So I went downstairs and I broke a bottle of wine and cut my pinky.
What?
Holds up his pinky. His pinky is like all wrapped up. Had to go to urgent care this morning. And anyway, when I woke up at 2 a.m.
Weird thing.
Well, yes. Justifying a wound, right? Broken on a bottle of wine. When I woke up at 2 a.m. and he was gone and his car was gone. And so that's kind of what he tells the cops.
Huh.
And the cops like, well, so far what they knew, this made sense. They couldn't find Aaron, but they did find Aaron's car. They knew Aaron had been drinking with Brandon the night before, and they thought, well, maybe he was just drunk and like out of it and took off, crashed his car, walked away. Like those kind of things are possible. But then they said, hey, do you mind if we check inside the house? And Brandon says, no, of course, come on in. And the cops are like, all right, they go in, and right away they notice a couple weird things. One, a lot of doors are locked. Doors to, I think it was door to the laundry room was locked, and the door to the guest room where Aaron had supposedly been staying was locked. So they go and they say, hey, can you help us out, to Brandon? Like, could you maybe show us the house and let us into some of the rooms? And Brandon again, oh yeah, sure, of course. Opens the door to the guest room. The police are hit with the smell of chemicals, cleaning supplies, like cleaning solutions, cleaning chemicals everywhere, and blood next to the bed. And the cops have this conversation like, this doesn't look like vomit. This looks like blood. Well, do you suppose he could have been vomiting blood? Well, it's a possibility, but this doesn't look like that. That's kind of the conversation they're having.
Oh my gosh.
And then the cop says if he was vomiting this much blood and had alcohol poisoning that bad, he wouldn't have been getting up and driving away in the middle of the night. Because the level of vomiting and sickness that Brandon described, the cops were like, that's alcohol poisoning. He would have been incapacitated, not getting up and driving away.
Yeah.
So they're kind of supposing. And then you sort of, the cop said that there was a little bit of a change in Brandon. And all of this is on body cam footage, right? Like where you see this cop walk by, like across the hallway, and he goes, oh, my knees, so like indicating that he is kind of like this older cop, maybe a little overweight. And he goes, oh, my knees. And then all of a sudden he goes, whoa, hey, wait. And Brandon's taking off, and he's like, he's running. So the cops go, they chase him. They're trying to track him down. They lose him eventually. They're not really sure where he like jumped over into. There's actually body cam footage of the cop running up to a fence where Brandon had jumped over and the cop couldn't climb it. They lose him. So they call in some other cops. They're like, you guys stay in the backyard and watch for him. We're going to go canvass the neighborhood. So they're driving around. They come upon this lady who's out in her front yard. She is on the phone, and they're like, hey, we're looking for Brandon Risner, your neighbor. Have you seen him? And she said, no, but I'm on the phone with his dad. So oh my gosh, she hands the phone to the cops. Jeremy Risner, Brandon's dad, is on the phone. They're like, hey, Mr. Risner, we need to talk to your son. We need to know like where he's at. And Jeremy was like, well, I'm on my way back. My wife and I were out of town. We know he had his friend stay last night. His longtime childhood, friend from childhood stayed last night. And we know that he disappeared in the middle of the night. So I told Brandon, this is Jeremy speaking. I told Brandon, hey, go around to the usual hangouts. Go see if he might have driven his car somewhere. Like go around and look for him. And, I know that's what he's been doing this morning. We're about an hour away. But I don't know where my son is. I haven't heard from him. And so Jeremy gets there, super helpful to the police, like answering questions. They're at the house, very, very helpful until Jeremy, Brandon's dad, finds Brandon's phone. Right?
Oh my gosh.
He suddenly becomes very reluctant to hand the phone over. the police are like, hey, can we take a look? And I don't know. I don't know if I should. Oh, well, you were being really helpful. Yeah, I want to. I want to give you the phone, but I don't know if I should as a father. Like those are like not exact quotes, but that's like the essence of what he was saying.
Seriously?
So, and then he's very polite. All of this was like recorded. Like I watched the video of this. He's very, very polite to the police. And, he says, do you have a search warrant that includes the phone? And the police say, no, not yet. We don't have one yet.
I just feel like as a people pleaser, I would not be thinking ahead to what my legal rights are. And I think that's where Jordan would be a much better parent of a child murderer. No, wait, how do you say that?
If one
I'm
of
just
your
saying.
children committed murder, Jordan would be the better.
The better contact your police, because I'd be like, I can't say no to a call.
Wait, what's the word? Advocate. Jordan would be the better advocate for if one of your children was a murderer.
I think they all know this too. They'd be like, Dad, don't tell Mom. But also,
Sure,
my kids would never murder.
Did you want all of his passwords as well? What else? I mean, I know mine neither. But I do wonder if Brandon Risner's parents also thought their child never would. Because
Right.
I think that even Aaron Davis's parents never saw this.
Right.
Oh, anyway,
Yeah.
we haven't gotten to the part
Sure.
that Brandon
Okay.
is the murderer. What's that called? Burying the lead? Darn it.
You didn't bury the lead.
We dug up the lead.
Dug up the lead.
Emily, you and I dug up the lead. Nettie, she failed to bury it.
So-
None of that makes sense, but it's fine.
You did great. We're all great. Let's continue.
Listen, let's all hope none of our children ever murder anyone
Yes.
or get accused of it. Because it would be
Yes.
awful.
That's my preference always. That's been my preference for a long time.
All right. So he asks if they have a warrant. The police say we don't, but we can get one. The police leave, right? And they're like, leaving Jeremy saying, we really need to talk to your son. And Jeremy says something along the lines of like, do you think that there's a possibility that he's connected to this? Like that some harm has come.
Jeremy, who is Brandon's father,
Yes. Jeremy says
saying this.
Is Brandon connected?
yeah, is there like what are you are you suspecting foul play? Do you think Brandon could be involved? And they say, well, we know he's involved in some way. We think he's involved in some way. We don't know what. He might just be have information that could be helpful, but there is a lot of blood in the guest room. There's a lot of blood. And so you can tell Jeremy's really upset. He's there with his wife, whose name is Rachel, and who is the stepmother of Brandon. So the police leave. They go to try to get a search warrant and all of that. And about an hour later, Jeremy calls and he says, I've got Brandon. He came back to the house and he's ready to turn himself in. So we're going to bring him down. And the cop said, okay, we'll be waiting. They show up about 25, 30 minutes later. And just these parents walking in, they already knew. Brandon had confessed to them what had happened. So they knew they were bringing their child into the police station and that they weren't going to see him free again. He was going
Again.
yeah. And so they bring him in, they do all of the preliminary things, and then they take Brandon in to be questioned, and they tell Jeremy and Rachel that you guys might need a moment to talk. And Jeremy goes, yeah, we do. And it just breaks down. And then he says to the cops, you need to send someone to find the body.
Oh gosh.
And the cops are like, okay, hold that thought, pause, we'll be right back. They take Brandon in, they start questioning him. He immediately asks for a lawyer. That first question, you are entitled to counsel. Brandon says, yes, I'd like counsel. I want a lawyer. And so the police are like, okay, we're going to get you a lawyer. We're going to pause this interview here. But then the police realized that Jeremy was willing to talk and Jeremy knew a lot. So they went out. Jeremy was able to get a map and show them where Brandon said he had buried Aaron's body.
No way.
I don't think Jeremy knew the details of what happened at this point, but he knew that his son had buried Aaron's body near a graveyard, where a giant tree had uprooted and left a hole in the ground. He had put Aaron's body in the ground and covered it a shallow grave.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And Jeremy, while they were questioning him, Jeremy was saying, look, we don't really know what happened, that we're surprised by this, but he has Tourette's. He was diagnosed with Tourette's, Brandon, diagnosed with Tourette's as a child, and he has OCD. And then Jeremy says, and people think they know about OCD. They don't know. You don't know what OCD is. And so the question is Jeremy thinking ahead, thinking maybe this could be an insanity plea if I make sure that the cops understand that he has diagnosed mental illnesses? Or is he just like sincerely, and this is actually from the interaction I saw because this was on video, I think he just sincerely was trying to like say, look, this is what my son is dealing with. These are the demons he's been battling, you know, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the police were able to get the phone, right? And they don't know what it was Jeremy saw, right? They actually don't know what it was Jeremy saw that made Jeremy not want to give the phone over. But these are the things they found on the phone.
Oh my gosh.
A to-do list. Number 1, schedule last 3 songs. Brandon, you can find him on Apple Music, was like a self-published songwriter. And so he wanted to schedule the release of his last 3 songs. That was step 1. 2, vacuum. 3, laundry. 4, shower in my shower. 5, take bath. And then it said tomorrow, text Rachel. Remember, Rachel is his stepmother. Text Rachel that Aaron threw up horribly. I think there was some blood in it. I woke up and he was gone. And then the other things that were found on Brandon's phone were online searches for 10 tips for dealing with guilt. A post-murder to-do list. Apply. Also on his list of things to do was apply for BYU Hawaii.
Post-murder to-do list, apply for BYU Hawaii.
Yeah, his post-murder to-do list was the list I said. So it wasn't one of the things he searched, it was just found on the phone. Okay. I kind of misspoke. Okay. So they found all these searches, and along with that, they found his post-murder to-do list, which was the schedule last 3 songs, vacuum, laundry, text Rachel, but also on that list was apply to BYU Hawaii. So he had, I think that in his mind, he had the idea that he was going to get away with this with his to-do list. He thought he was going to cover all of his tracks. He had texted Charlie Girl and said, hey, stay another night. Don't worry. He'll be there. And, planned on telling Rachel, oh, sorry about all the blood you have to clean up, stepmom. But, Aaron was throwing up horribly. He also on the list was how to drain a washing machine, how long for a body to decompose, and then like over 20 searches for sheets and bedding. And what they found out later is he was trying to find the exact bedding that that was on the bed that Aaron was sleeping on in the guest room, so he could replace the bedding because he had wrapped Aaron's body in the sheets and blankets and buried him in those sheets and blankets, so he needed to replace it. He also had in his search, does Walmart have duct tape? And then the police found the timeline adds up. He had written his list, gone to Walmart, purchased the things that he had Googled on his list, and there's footage of him leaving Walmart with this. They also found a song that he wrote after the murder with the lyrics, he screamed till he choked on his own tongue and blood.
Oh.
His scream became a gargle as he swallowed his tongue. And there's other lyrics too, but that was kind of the most.
Oh, that is so awful.
Also this, and this kind of goes to his psyche where he was at with his philosophy and religion. It doesn't matter what you do. Go kill someone, go love someone. You can't plan the future. God decided it for you.
Oh my God.
So that's what they found on his phone. And he lawyered up, and I don't know the timeline from when he lawyered up, got his lawyer, but he eventually confessed fully to the crime. Uh-huh. And this is what he confessed. About the fall prior, so about a year before, when Brandon was I think it was when Brandon was still at BYU Idaho, and he was having his suicidal thoughts, and he was, having his mental breakdown. He had taken, this was either while he was at BYU or right after he came home, but he took some edibles, and he had a vision where he said he received a prophecy. And the prophecy was he had to make a choice. He had to have sex with his stepmother, or he had to kill his best friend. And he had to choose between those two things. And he knew he had to do it. And he said that he was leaning towards killing his best friend because he thought that would be the one that gave him the least amount of pleasure. So it was like, that would be the hardest one for him to do and would give him the least amount of like
Gratification.
gratification. Yeah. So almost like self-punishment, if that makes sense. Then so he knew he had this like what he considered like a God telling him to do this a year before. Then when Aaron called in November or sometime, I don't know if it was exactly a year before, but sometime in the last year, when Aaron called and says, "Hey, can I stop by? I'm going to see my girlfriend." Brandon took that as a sign from God that everything was lining up for him to commit the murder that he felt he had been told to commit.
Oh no.
Because his parents were out of town. His parents weren't out of town very often. And Aaron was going to come and stay. So Aaron arrived. Aaron had no idea Brandon was already planning on murdering him. This wasn't something that escalated because of drinking together or anger or anything. Like Brandon already had the plans.
It was like mental illness combined with opportunity.
Yeah. And drugs. Like, honestly, it's like when you have the mental illness he had, which there's speculation that that was undiagnosed schizophrenia. When you have that mental illness and then you mix it with things like edibles, and there was also someone suggested he was doing shrooms as well, it can just really lead to some bad things. And I'm not like trying to say that doing marijuana causes people to murder or that doing shrooms causes people to murder or alcohol causes people to murder. I do think that there can be a mix of things that can happen to someone who's already struggling psychologically that can absolutely.
And people with murderous tendencies combined with mental health issues will murder.
Yeah.
So the one fact that I am so shocked that you're leaving out of this is that Brandon Risner was a scare actor.
Brandon has a couple things in common with you. Not only did you both go to BYU, Idaho, but there's one other thing you two have in common. Do you have any idea what it might be?
I don't want to talk about it.
You're both scare actors.
Scare actors.
You both have a background as scare actors.
Scare actors.
Well, it's funny because the news headlines all say scare actor murders friend. I think he like did a haunted house like one time, kind of like you. It would like be someone saying, "What's something I've done once," or you've done once. It would be like David Archuleta's background singer commits murder, because you did sing background for David Archuleta once, but I wouldn't call you. I wouldn't say that's your identifying.
That's not my identifying factor.
Well, when I was searching for best friend murder or best friend crime or whatever, the only, like the headline came up like scare actor murders best friend. And then when I clicked on it, it was Brandon Risner. I knew you were doing that. That was the only thing I knew about this entire case.
And you were like, "Oh, I feel such a connection." This was, as a fellow scare actor, you're like, how did he get from the point that I'm at as a scare actor to murder?
Yeah.
Because I'm not there yet.
Also, I bet he didn't leave like a cool voicemail like you and your roommate Julie did. Where you guys left like a nice spooky voicemail.
Yeah, okay, Emily.
We called to inquire about the job and we made a haunted voicemail and we were hired immediately.
Yes.
It was spectacular. Okay.
Yes.
Hi.
Emily, I think you meant spooktacular.
And it was spectacular.
Emily, could you demonstrate what the voicemail was?
No, I can't remember exactly, but we had like a bike locks that we were like dragging across the table as chains, and we used like ghosty voices to be like, "You will hire us."
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, it was a hoot.
Yeah.
It was a hunt.
It was a hunt and a hoot. No murder transpired.
Well, and you can find his movies. There's one called Brandon Rising on YouTube. They're like 15-minute movies. They are violent, but I don't know. People are like, he made violent movies. They're like boxing movies. This is just like, I don't know. It's just like, it just didn't seem that alarming to me. One of the things they also said is that the night Brandon murdered Aaron, that he watched horror movies, like was watching horror movies while making his Google searches. The horror movie, anyone want to guess what it was that he was watching according to the news article?
Horror movie he was watching.
Saw.
Emily's guess is Saw.
You each get one guess because this could go on forever.
Okay.
Saw?
Okay. Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
No Country for Old Men.
Oh my
Would you
God.
consider that a horror movie?
No, that's not a horror movie.
No, I would call it an action suspense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Psychological thriller.
Yes, for sure. Psychological thriller.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to clarify that because as someone who loves horror movies myself,
Same.
and I know that what you watch and like what you listen to can absolutely influence your actions, but have watched plenty of horror movies and never felt the desire to murder anyone, nor have I felt like I love how dark my mind gets. Like those things don't
Exactly.
enter my mind. Like the movie, and I think that there were a bunch of movies. I just watched one 15-minute one called Brandon Rising. Brandon, it was written by Brandon and then Aaron's older brother, whose name I can't remember, like wrote the movie, and then Aaron starred in it. So Brandon in the movie, basically the story is Brandon has to battle boxing.
He has to battle boxing.
About a boxing battle. He has to fight some kind of entity named Beelzebubba. And it's kind of like comedic. Like they're little sisters and they're playing a news reporter, like this little 12-year-old going, oh, and here I am reporting on Brandon Rising, who is now fighting. And you find out that it's actually his father that he's battling. And then his spirit leaves his body and he has like a conversation with his grandfather. And like when you get on Reddit, people are like, no, you guys, there were signs. But watch the movies he made. He was totally into like violent stuff. But I don't know. I don't think that making like a funny, meant to be
No.
like a funny boxing movie is like a
It's easy to like know they were disturbed and then point to the signs later. And not all of those signs necessarily mean somebody is disturbed, Like I think that's
right. Okay. So this is what he ended up confessing. And don't worry, I'm not gonna like get into like the absolute like I'll keep it light. I mean, as light as I can.
Perfect.
So Aaron shows up at Brandon's house. They go to the outdoor bar and they drink for a few hours. Then they go back to the home of Risner's parents where Brandon is living, Brandon Risner. And they had some wine. Aaron declined the wine according to Brandon, or only had a small amount. He went to sleep in the upstairs bedroom. A short time later, Risner entered the bedroom. Aaron was asleep. He stabbed him 40 times. And there was blood splatter on the ceiling, on the floor, on the walls, behind the bed, and like pools on the floor where powder had been poured. The cops said that they saw powder on the ground that was like obviously meant to soak up, like, the body fluids. There were no defensive wounds. And this, I hope, was a comfort to the family. It does appear that while Aaron was alive for much of the attack, that he didn't fight back. He was probably either asleep enough or was intoxicated enough that he didn't feel much of it. He was disemboweled, killed on the bed, drug into the bathroom, and then it appears that he was like put into the shower to like let the blood drain, and then attempted to dismember, but he was unable to dismember him. It was
too hard. He couldn't do it.
Yeah. I think people have no idea it's hard.
It's
difficult.
Really difficult to kill.
Well, I mean, I just think about like, okay, I'm sorry to be like graphic, but like, have you ever tried when you're making like a roast or something to cut through a bone?
Yeah, it's hard.
It is really, really difficult. And anyways, he didn't have any defensive wounds. The really sad part is the defense, or not the defense attorney, the prosecuting attorney that took the confession said that it did appear, according to the coroner, what do you call it? The person who
forensic,
the forensic, whoever analyzed the body, that it did appear he was actually alive for much of the attack, but no defensive wounds. So then he took his body, put it in a suitcase, put the suitcase in the trunk of Aaron's car, so in the Prius, and then he left it there while he did his searches. The next day was doing his searches about, does Walmart have duct tape? Yes, it does. What kind of how to clean blood out of carpet, how to drain a washing machine, and then watched clips of No Country for Old Men, drove to Walmart, bought the duct tape, bought the sheets to try to replace the sheets so his stepmom wouldn't notice that they were different sheets. And he went to the urgent care to get his cuts on his, he showed pinky, but it said hand, like cuts on his hand. So he might have had multiple cuts treated. The following night, so I think this would have been Friday. So I think his body was actually discovered Saturday. The following night, he drove the car over past the graveyard to where he was able to take the body out. I don't know what happened to the suitcase because the body wasn't found in the suitcase. Put it in the well where that fallen tree had left the hole, cover the body, and then he drove the Prius into a ditch. And the cops noticed, they're like, this is weird because there's no acceleration, there's no brake marks. It's like, it looks very deliberate and intentional. Yeah. And so that was in June 2024 that he actually pled guilty and was sentenced. And his girlfriend and his parents gave impact statements. And I thought I'd just read little snippets.
Who, Aaron's girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So this is Charlie Girl. She's the girlfriend. And I think they call her girlfriend, but she also stated Brandon would have been a groomsman at our wedding. So I think if they weren't engaged officially, they had plans to get married.
Yeah.
She was like, Brandon, was Aaron's best friend. He would have been a groomsman at the wedding. And that's I think part of why it was so hard. It's everybody trusted Brandon. And I'm sure even Brandon's parents were like, oh, our son's struggling mentally. We're really glad the weekend we're out of town that his best friend is coming to be with him. It's just kind of, they didn't say this. This is supposition. It feels good to know his best friend's going to be there, that he's not going to be alone.
And why wouldn't you think that?
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so here is Charlie Girl, what she said. When I received the news that Aaron was dead after running all through Rome in the freezing cold looking for my love, I collapsed outside of a gas station in front of an ice cream machine and I could not stop screaming. I never got to say goodbye. I never got to hold his hand or touch his face one more time or touch his hair or hug him. I got to kiss a cold casket, and I hoped he knew how much I dearly loved him.
Oh, Charlie Girl.
And then the judge, she actually asked the judge if she could read a letter that he had written to her, one of the love letters he had written to her. And this was it, just a section of it. Even if this is, okay, so this is, just so we're clear, this is from Aaron to Charlie Girl. Mm-hmm. Even if the flap of a butterfly's wing causes one of us to die in an accident or 1,000 monsters manage to bring me down, we'll always have back then. And I would rather spend the rest of my life missing you than never having known you. Oh, is that weird though? He was talking about if one of us dies, we'll always have our memories.
I'm not crying.
No, I know it's tough.
Actually, yeah.
Aaron's parents are named Randy and Sarah, and they both read impact statements too. And this is what Sarah said. This is Aaron's mom. I've cooked and served Brandon thousands of dinners over the years, and he's slept over at my house many, many times. He seemed to spend more time at my house than his own. Aaron was always so kind to Brandon. It's Micah's birthday today. Micah is Aaron's younger brother who's autistic. It's Micah's birthday today. So he got sentenced on his little brother's. Aaron's killer got sentenced on Aaron's little brother's birthday. It's Micah's birthday today, and Aaron should be here celebrating with my son. Micah has autism, and he doesn't have people. Brandon took the person he had, the cooler older brother that would play with him. Sarah explained how just 1 month before, Brandon had been at her house and she had cooked him dinner, and how, according to what Brandon confessed later, he was already plotting Aaron's murder.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. She's like, I took him out to eat. I made him dinner. I took him to the fair, all the while he was planning to murder my son. And then the father said, when Brandon stabbed Aaron to death, he also stabbed us in the hearts. He ripped our hearts out. We have been devastated by the evil actions of Brandon. My son was ready to launch into life and would have been an amazing teacher. He was a fun kid who loved philosophy, reading, and spending time with family. How can we go on trusting anyone fully after witnessing someone we trusted so much murder and eviscerate my son? I do hope that Brandon can find mercy with God and seek help while in custody to be able to plead for God for his mercy. And then Risner's parents spoke, Brandon's parents both spoke, and they said, I think it was very nice. The first thing they did was apologize to the Davises and just express how devastated they were at the loss of Aaron, because they had loved Aaron too. They'd grown up with Aaron in their home as well. But they did ask for leniency. They asked for a 30-year sentence instead of a life sentence, and said, this is clearly a mental illness thing. Yes, it was obviously wrong and awful, but this is untreated mental illness. And we think that he could build a life after serving 30 years. But the judge, he listened more and took the side of the victim's family. And Brandon Risner is now sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, I believe.
Deserved.
That's it.
I think that feels fair.
Here, listen to this song.
I have been alive for all my life. It's pretty obvious since I'm alive.
Is this Brandon Reisner's
I
song?
tend to stay
Yeah.
Creepy.
obvious.
Just that I meant to like play a chunk.
Do you think that there was some calculated part of him that was like, release this song, commit my crime, it will get listens?
I mean, I do wonder when he like was like to-do list. Step 1, release the next 3 songs. I wonder if there was part of him that thought I gotta release them now or I won't get them released. But then he also put in the same list apply for BYU Hawaii, which makes me think he really thought he was going to get away with it and get to go on to college. So maybe there was a little bit both. However, his they don't have a ton of views, and even his like YouTube video, the Brandon Rising, not a lot of views, and the Reddit posts about him quite scant on the topics. There were 2 posts that were actually specifically about him. One of them was on ex-Mormon Reddit, and I just Googled I just put into Reddit Brandon Risner. When I Googled Brandon Risner, a bunch of articles came up. And I discovered him because it was just like a YouTube video just popped up where it was like, parents realize their son is a killer. And just was like doing the dishes and like half watched it. It's a Dr. Insanity YouTube video, which are always kind of pretty entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Except he tells his stories using would. Like he would have his friend over and they would go drink. And they would then return to Reisner's home, where they would drink more. And it's like, why are they telling it? You know who else does this? That guy, no.
I mean, I get it as a storytelling tool. They're trying to put you into the present moment, right? Like that's,
Yeah.
I think they're trying to take you along. I
think it takes me out of it because I start going, why aren't they just saying he went to this? He
did. Yeah, you're right. And that's the storytelling I prefer also because, you know, we know that we're talking about stuff that's happened already. But
Mr. Ballin, he's a pretty famous one. Even Mom listens to Mr. Ballin.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you heard of Mr. Ballin?
Oh, that's because her friend
Michelle listened to Mr. Ballin. But Mr. Ballin does the same thing. Well, people must like it because they're both really popular storytellers. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Spooky Darlings. You can email us at thespookydarlings@gmail.com with any comments or questions. Also, if you have any stories you'd like to share, we would love to read them on the podcast, so go ahead and email us those too. Don't forget to take a moment and leave us a 5-star rating and a written review. It is the best way to support us. We are on Instagram and TikTok at The Spooky Darlings Podcast, where you can find pictures that go along with each episode. Also, if you want to peruse our merch, you can visit thespookydarlings.printful.me. Thanks again for listening, and tune in next week. Stay spooky, darlings. Goodbye. 5 stars. Before we disappear into the shadows, don't forget, we're still sending out vinyl stickers. Leave us a rating and review and email us proof to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, along with your mailing address, and we'll send you some spooky snail mail while supplies last. And if your heart is still mourning that tote bag, may we gently tempt your way toward our merch store at thespookydarlings.printful.me. Treat yourself. You deserve it. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay spooky.